His shoes are colorful.
Yeah, they're so bright. I'm colorblind. I don't put together outfits.
I think I knew that.
Yeah. I'm sure it came up in '06. Everybody laughs. Tell the camera your name and what you do.
You want me to look at that?
Yeah. Is that going to be the stuttering?
So you want me to introduce myself to the camera?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ed Simmons, and I'm the Executive Director of Mountaintop. I've been here since January 2006, relocated from Texas, but now call Tennessee home. I came as a youth driver, if you want to call it that. We had just joined a church that had just chartered. We were charter members. And the pastor was trying to get a youth program going. And he had been to Mountaintop. He had taken kids to Mountaintop as a youth director when he was young himself. And he said, I want the kids that are in the church to go on a mission trip. So he recruited me, even though my kids were 3 and 6 months old, and said, you can go be a youth counselor on this trip. So we came to Fall Creek Falls. I can't even remember what year it was. It was in the 80s sometime. And it was the one and only time I ever went to Fall Creek Falls, but I fell in love with it. There were 4 other adults, and I think we took 12 or 15 kids. I did it 16 years before I actually came here. So the church continued for another 4 years after that. So it was one of those life-changing experiences, and it was actually at a Mountaintop camp, ironically, at Pines, where I felt the call to go into ministry. During a morning daybreak, I was reading something, I don't even remember what it was, and I had this feeling that I needed to take the gifts I had for administration and move into the church. Now, it took 5 years for that to happen, but that was where the first tug happened. For families, there's every year there's a story, but the one most recently, we've been working with a family called the Frisbees outside of Beersheba for about the last 18 months through our Adults in Ministry program, and they got part of the grant money from HPG, the USDA Housing Preservation Grant. And when we first started working there, they were friendly. They were uncertain as to what we were doing. And last fall, they came to one of our fall AIM weekends, and Mr. Frisbee stood up and he said, when you guys first visited, I didn't think there were any people out there that were good people. I thought they were all in it for something, but I've certainly changed my opinion. I mean, you have showed me that the ministry, have showed me that there are people out there that care for people and don't judge them. And you've transformed me to believe that there's hope in this world because there are people like you that are willing to give of yourselves to make a difference for people that are needing things. I mean, this was a man who was suffering from severe disabilities physically. He just couldn't work, and his house was literally collapsing in on itself. He had built the house originally, and over the last 18 months, we have rebuilt it from the inside out. And this week, we've got a youth group out there finishing. They're pressure washing the outside of the house, and that will be the end of that project. We will have finished doing the work there, and it's just really fun to watch the transformation of that family unit. There's 2 families that actually live there because of what we've been able to do and what the groups have been able to share with them. Well, I think there's a couple of things. I've seen staff come in that are timid, that, the first time that you ask them to pray in front of the community, just at training to pray for a meal, they can hardly stand it. But by the end of the summer, they're leading worship, they're delivering messages, they're talking to adults with confidence, they're relating well to youth, and just to see that transition in 10 weeks, to me that's, well, it's one of our foundational objectives is to grow new leaders, and there are several that I could lift up name wise. I mean, one I know that you know is Laura Greenfield. I mean, you were there when she stood up to pray and she left the dining hall because she couldn't do it. By the end of the summer, she was a completely different person. And there's so many like that every year. And to me, that's our paycheck as year-round staff, is watching that growth in young people. It's pretty significant.
So why do you have such a gigantic beard?
It started as a dare with my son and son-in-law, said that I couldn't do it. So it just kind of has gone from there. And then getting exposed to Duck Dynasty last year at Christmas, I thought, okay, well, Glenn wants this gone bad, so it may not make it through break in August. George had a vision through his youth group at Blakemore of what mission should be, and it came out of an experience that they had at Hinton Life Center, and he through his involvement with that youth group came up with the model, if you want to call it that, the concept. I think God put it on his heart that mission should be more than just being charitable. You need to do more. I think one of his famous lines is, if you can, something to the effect, paraphrasing, you can give a person a fish and they'll eat for a day, but if you teach them how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. And that's really what his model for ministry was with Mountaintop, was getting people to partner together, to take responsibility, not just give things to people, but have it be a two-way relationship. And that partnership extends with the families that we work with. It extends to the churches that come and we partner with to get work done, the community that provides materials and resources for us to do things, the partners that support the summer staff that work here. So it ends up becoming a relationship. And he created that model, and I think it's a very successful model, and it's one that sets us apart a little bit from other mission organizations. We're just not there to build a porch or to paint a house. We're there to build a relationship and to meet other needs other than just the physical. So many of the mission organizations focus on just meeting the physical need, whatever that is. But for us, it's equally meeting physical, social, emotional, and spiritual needs. And it's been hard to follow in the footsteps of a person I respected so much as a camper, because of all that he did for the ministry, and to live up to that, to the high standards that he set in that, and the relationships that he had with everybody, whether it was the summer staff or the community or whatever. But I think we're doing it. I feel proud that what we're doing is a reflection of his work. And that's what's hard, is trying to stay relevant to today's youth, taking into account that they're being pulled in so many different directions, and that society is putting so many pressures on them and their parents. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as our ministry needing to be able to meet needs, I think that's going to continue. One of my big fears when I first got here was, shouldn't we be working ourselves out of business? Shouldn't we be able to eliminate poverty? Shouldn't we be able to eliminate substandard housing? Shouldn't we? But then, I reconciled that and said, no, that's not true, because we meet four needs: physical, social, emotional, and spiritual. And as long as there are people, those needs are going to exist. We may not always have the level of physical needs that we're dealing with, but there's always going to be social, emotional, and spiritual needs that need to be met. So from that perspective, I think our ministry changes in that at some point in time, maybe the physical needs won't be as strong as the other ones. And that's why I think, from our perspective, the children's programs are our growing edge, because when you're in one of the third poorest counties in the state and one of the poorest counties in the country, the children are left behind. And what we are able to do with some of the programs we have is keep their needs at a forefront. It's become a more year-round approach. I mean, whether it's things like the Fall Festival or collecting things that can be used year-round, whether it's art supplies or snack pack information or food or, diapers for the young kids. A bulk of our ministry happens during the summer, but the benefit of that ministry goes out throughout the whole year. Yeah. And that's really an approach we've tried to do. I mean, with Julie working with the Bonner Scholar Program that Stephanie's in New York with this week, I mean, we're looking at, okay, how can we meet expanding needs year-round and not just for those 8 weeks during the summer. Well, it started actually as kind of one of those gifts from God. I mean, Souls for Souls was looking for a partner on the mountain to be able to distribute shoes. They saw our website and they were actually looking to partner with the food bank, but they called us because they saw our website, talked to Sam, and said, hey, we really could probably fit better your need to be able to distribute. And we started talking about, well, how could we do that? Well, let's have a big event, a community-wide event. We don't have any in the fall. Most of the communities within, especially Grundy County, have their own things, 4th of July celebrations and that kind of stuff, but there's nothing community-wide. So we said, let's do that in the fall. Let's offer an activity for children and families to come together, and as part of that, we'll distribute shoes, we'll distribute coats, we'll have fun games for the kids, books, whatever we can gather, and just make it a day of fun that focuses on children. We did that in 2012, and we're going to do it again in 2013. We got a grant from the South Cumberland Community Foundation, and they're allowing us to carry over the money that we didn't use last year for this year to help fund that again. We've talked about adding a fun run to it to make it, again, a more community-centered event. We're trying to get more churches and organizations to come and sponsor booths. So I expect it, we had 500 or 600 in a horrible day of weather. I expect it to really grow bigger this year. And our hope is to continue it, to make it an annual event. We want more?
One more time.
Oh.
Because I was talking before you started.
The Builders Club needs you. Join today.